Now, the west coast of Portugal is an amazing coastline, and I've really enjoyed my fishing over there for the last 30 years. Although the fishing isn't what it once was, it's still got the potential for some amazing fishing. Over the last year, I haven't managed to get over there as much as I'd like, but I am planning on getting over a little bit more over the next year if I can. I did manage to get over for 10 days in the summer with my family. I'm part of our family summer holiday. The other part was in Ireland, where I managed to do some fishing as well. And I'll have a video coming out about that as well to look out for over the next month if you're interested in fishing for pollock in Ireland. But no matter what time of the year it is in Portugal, there's always a potential for big swell. You've got the strong north winds in the summer, and once they start blowing, the swells can really pick up. And it's certainly not unusual for the swells to get up to 2 or 3 meters in the summertime. This year was no exception. Yeah, I was out fishing in a couple of the bigger swells, and you really got to be on the lookout. It can be very dangerous. I would say once the swells tend to get over about 1.5 meters, you've really got to look out, because they start to pack a punch the waves, and you can easily be swept off the rocks, pretty much like I was on this trip. Basically I was fishing a spot I'd fished quite a lot over the years, but I didn't quite account for the difference in the swell direction and how that would impact the waves coming into the rocks I was standing on. Just that little bit of change can make a lot of difference. Yeah, you've always got to be on the lookout for sneaker sets, and yeah, basically I was just lucky to get away with it as I did. It could have been a bit worse for sure. But I never take the waves for granted there. I've definitely had a few close calls over the years, and I think you will do when you're fishing in those conditions. But as I say, when it gets bigger, you've just got to be extra careful and on the lookout for the waves, the sneaker sets. In the summertime, I generally tend to catch smaller bass. There's not so many big bass about. Having said that, I've had some lovely bass over the last years in the summer, some nice doubles, so I certainly can't complain. But as a general rule, the fish tend to be smaller and fewer about. So on my first sessions, I just got into a couple of little schoolies. I think I was using the shad in the mullet and the bunker, which I really like. They're kind of natural colours, which I'm pretty confident in. Definitely feel there could be some bass about today. Okay, so I'm on some rocks in front. Came off. It's going to be one of the last casts actually. Probably last cast. There we go. Well, I had a hit earlier, but that one came off, something probably a similar size. I was hoping to test out a little bit more the new long cast Expanse, which is the lighter version of the long cast, 15 to 60 grams. The south coast where I was going to test it is just full of weed. I heard that a boat brought it in last year and emptied its tanks with this weed from a long way away. I can't remember where it's from, and this weed is just growing out of control. I don't know much more about it, but it does seem to be all over the south coast. Anyway, fortunately it's not on the west coast, but the swells are really big. It's about 3 meters today, the set, so it does look like it's calming down. And yeah, so let's see how it goes. The 70 gram enticer, but I sort of work that enticer between the surface and below. Just keep it tapping, and that just gets it wiggling side to side. God, this reel makes a right racket. Could need an oil. One. I've got one. Flipping heck. So there's a bass on. Yeah, it's only a schoolie, but swinging around the front. It doesn't feel that big. I just got to get around this bloody rock. Right, so at least I'm into something. A little schoolie there, but it's a start, and looks lovely conditions. I would have been down on the south coast, but weed everywhere. Seems to be weedy everywhere. So just look for a bit of shelter here up on the west coast. So in these conditions, when I'm up on the west coast and it's sort of over 2 meters, I like to use lures like the 70-gram Enticer minnow, which absolutely goes out like a bullet. It's ideal with the long cast rods. It matches those really well. I can get well over 100 meters. So like that, I can cover a lot of ground, and it's a really effective lure. I've caught probably more big bass on the Enticers than anything, I would say. Okay, that's a really nice bass. It's a much better sized bass. I don't think I've had many casts. I must have only had a couple of casts. I had the smaller little schoolie before, and then this one, she's yeah, it's a nice bass that. So I'm really pleased. And when I saw the swells were big, I thought, oh no, well at least the south coast. But as I said, that's weeded out. So yeah, I'm just happy to get into a bass. Yeah, this one is on the 70-gram Enticer. It's ideal in these conditions when you just need that extra distance and control in the water. And I was unfortunate to lose a nice sized bluefish, a really good bluefish right at my feet. I was just bringing it in sort of over a rock pool just below my feet, and gave one last shake of the head and it was off. So yeah, that's fishing for you, but yeah, I suppose that's what makes it so much fun when you actually land those fish. That's a decent bass. Oh, hope he stays on. Feels decent. Come on, going down a bit. Got to get him over the ledge here. Come on. Flipping out. It's a good bass. Oh, jumped right out. Flipping heck. It's fighting like crazy. It's not a bass, is it? It can't be. Is it possibly a bluefish? It's got to be a blue. It's off. Down in here. It's down in that hole there. Don't think I'll see that again. But I think it was a bluefish. Oh well, that's a shame. Yeah, but it's really nice to see the bluefish coming back a little bit. That's really promising. It's a good sign. So another thing I like about fishing with these 12-foot long casts is the reach that I've spoken about. I'm up on a ledge now, and I can just put the rod tip down and keep the lure in the water where I want it, which is obviously it's a lot safer as well, having the reach around these rocks. The swell started to come down, and I managed to get to another spot, and this is probably where I had the biggest bass of the trip. So I did manage to sort of land up on the rocks, but I didn't manage to get out for a photo. Just as I landed it there, I was thinking of going down to get it, or should I lift it up with a rod? And the Tudu it's certainly built for that. It can lift a fish of that weight, but I thought it's a pretty big fish. I'll just go down and get it after this wave. But unfortunately, the wave somehow managed to take the fish away. I had it under tension, but as soon as the wave had gone and I saw the fish was gone, I was not too happy, to say the least. But yeah, again, that's fishing. So best 2 fish of the trip pretty much lost back to back there. Okay, so swell is coming down now. Lucky to get some decent conditions, really. gonna get in. Okay, just a little one there, but I did feel confident that there would be more about. The other one was a pretty big one, so it's a shame, but never mind, I've still got time. Hopefully there's a few more about. I'm sure there's a good chance, I just don't want to jinx it. Okay, well, it was only a schoolie, but didn't make up for the one I lost, but anyway, still good to catch, and part of fishing is losing some good fish. Unfortunately, never easy, but so most of my big bass over the years have come on the bigger lures, sort of 50-gram lures like the Tweak, the Shad, the Enticer, Bomb. But as the swells get smaller, I'll always be using lighter lures, lighter versions of those lures really. So sort of around the 30-gram or even the 15 and 20-gram range once the swells really start to flatten out a bit. So in Portugal, the swells can go down pretty much as fast as they come up. So once that wind stops blowing, the swells will go down pretty quickly. It's got absolutely beautiful evening. Not windy. Conditions are good, pretty small, but probably better than really big. Okay, so I've just changed the shad over for a sandy shad. Oh no, this is the bunker actually. Similar, but a little bit more foiled. Really nice profile that. The same colour as the sandy, but it's more of a silver belly. Tide's moving fairly quick. Oh, I'm on. Mainly it's just that first wind, I think. It's not, I don't think it's big, but I just kept it this side. Whew. It's only a little schoolie. I'm not going to hold him out long, he's still quite lively, but anyway, so start. Yeah, so with the conditions small, I managed to nip out before dark for a quick half an hour, left my wife doing the washing up. It's a family holiday, so I don't want to spend too much time away there, so just to get out before dark is kind of like the prime time. If you're going to catch anything, that's the best time, especially when the swells are small. I managed to get into a few spotted bass. Nothing big, schoolies again, and there was a bass in there amongst them. In these kind of conditions, one of my favourite lures is the Shad, the smaller versions of the Shad. And yeah, new addition to the range over the last year has been the Shad Compact Mini, which is just 6 centimeters but 25 grams. So again, you can ping that one right out there, and if it's, you know, have a little bit of fun catching a few schoolies. If it does happen to be a big bass around, you definitely can catch a big bass on those smaller profile lures. So I had a nice session out on that and managed to get into a few spotted bass and another small bass. Nothing big, but it's just a, you know, just nice to get out and have a fish and test out some new lures. Okay, so sun's just going down. Still very small swell. Going to fish for a little while before sundown. Okay, so I just put on this little 25 gram. It's really cast a mile. Got a great feeling, got a good feeling that this will catch. Good profile. Yeah, this is a Shad Compact Mini. So it's the same shape as a Shad. Oh yeah, got on. Came off. Yeah, this is the ideal. Something hit it again. So yeah, this is the ideal lure for it. Okay, I'm on again. It came off. Yeah, the 30 gram size, they were sort of tentatively hitting it. And now they're all over this one. It's a bit smaller profile. At least it's a bit of action. That's one. You're going to stay on? Yeah, it's a little spotted bass like I thought. Okay, so see if I can get a couple of these before it gets dark. I think there's some small bait around here, so there's always a chance a bigger bass could turn up. Yeah, I got one again. A little bit better. Can't go too hard, they seem to have very soft lips. So that is a little bit bigger one. So there you go. That's a little spotted bass. So a little spotted bass on the Shad compact mini, which is 25 grams, really small profile, cast like a bullet, and yeah, really nice action. So I'm pretty sure there's some bait around here. I've seen some action there, looks like they're hitting some baits. Okay, it's another one. Must be one of those spotted bass. That's a normal bass. That's a normal bass there. Well, that was a little bass there. So, you never know, could be bigger fish about. Yeah, it's a bigger one. Oh, is he going to stay on it? Looks funny. Could be just foul hooked. I'm not sure. No, he's hooked okay. It's a bigger one. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to come off. Okay, that's number 4. I think I have time for one more cast. That's a spotted bass. So yeah, there seems to be some little bit of bait fish in there they're feeding on, and had a normal bass as well. The next evening managed to get out again, still small swells, so I decided to try another good small profile lure which is great in the lighter conditions, and that's the mini candle. I've had a lot of success with that over the years. It's got such a small profile, very thin, like a sand eel really, and managed to get into a few bass using that. I also fished a little bit with a 30-gram enticer when I just needed to cover a bit more ground, and yeah, managed to get into a fish with that as well. So yeah, it's good to work in close with these smaller profile lures for me, and then just to work a little bit further out to see if there's anything deeper out, perhaps where the waves are breaking, and just cover as much ground as I can. I generally do when I'm fishing. I've just got a little about half an hour session. It's very small tonight, so I've just put on this mini candle. It's 15 grams, sand eel. It's one of the lures I use, but it's small. It's just very subtle. Okay, so I've just hooked into what looks like a little bass. I had the candle on because it's pretty clear, the water today, so I felt I needed something really subtle. That's a tiny little one. That's it. A tiny little bass on the candle, the sand eel coloured candle there. Good thing about this lure is, you know, you can definitely catch big fish with it, but it's also going to open up the options of smaller fish, where a bigger lure wouldn't, especially on a day like this. It's just too big. So basically for me, as the sea gets bigger and rougher, the size of the lures go up. Oh, there's another one. It's not big. I think it's about the same size. Maybe a touch bigger. There you go, beautiful little bass. Tiny little bass there on the mini candle, 15 gram sand eel. But yeah, it's very small conditions, so it's the ideal lure for this session, I reckon. So that's the second one. Maybe there's a few more about. Put on this 30 gram Enticer minnow. It's still pretty subtle in the conditions. Absolutely going out of mire as well. This is the to-do, which casts 36 to 100 grams. So I was casting the 15 gram cans on it, no worries, but you know, ideally I'd have the expanse. But yeah, it's just banging them out. Go out the same on the expanse, probably further. It's a little bit more at the sweet spot. It's going to be a little bit lower than the to-do. Something had a go. Ah, it's on. Sure, yeah, something small. So I hit the single hook on the back. I was a bit worried about having a single on the back. You know, it seemed to hook up first attempt. There you go. On the single hook. So another little bass. As I was saying, this time with a single towel hook. Got it right in the mouth nicely. This is on the Enticer 30 gram. Let's get this one back. Yeah. So I was a bit unsure if I was going to get a hook up on that. Whoa, off like a rocket. But yeah, it wasn't long before the strong north winds returned. And generally when the winds return, the swells come up pretty quick. So for the last session, it was back onto heavy lures. 50 gram, even 70 gram lures. With the winds, it helps to keep them in the water, so you've got control over your lure. And obviously in the heavier seas, it makes a big difference. Some of the winds get so strong up on the west coast there that you could literally blows your lure along the surface or out of the water. So sometimes heavier lures is the only way to fish. And yeah, managed to finish with a nice little session before the end of the holiday. Rough seas, rough summer seas, really rough. Wow. So I brought the to-do. This is the to-do long cast, because if I do hit anything, it's definitely going to be handy having a longer rod. Yeah, I really feel I'm going to hit something tonight. Hopefully it's not just wishful thinking. This one. I caught a couple following it. Little schoolers, I'm just going to try and lift it up. Nice. Lovely. Not a big one, but yeah, really rough seas, pretty green, dirty water, but it did look good. It looked possible. Of course, some big section through here. Got to be careful. Some of the waves been washing right over here, but yeah, tide is going down now. So yeah, see if there's any more about. There's a lot of weed at some of the spots, most of the spots really, and we've only got a few places you can really fish. And also there's generally not that many bass around. So yeah, so I just put on this 70 gram shad because of this heavy swell. Still some fairly strong wind. There seems to be some schoolers around, but yeah, hopefully there's a few bigger bass. That'd be great. As I always say, summer is really very unpredictable. It's generally the weakest time of the year for bass fishing. Get over that rock. Okay, little schoolers hit it. Tiny. Little schoolie hit. This is a 70 gram shad I put on for a little bit of weight in the wind. So yeah, so pleased with that. This little slow sink tweak, I mean, really coming down the weights. This is 22 gram, but I love the action on it. I just want to give it a go. Hopefully it's not too windy, I'll soon find out. And I just want a little bit of a slow retrieve. through all this sort of rough water, and I always do well with this colour. I do like the mullet design. This feels like it's going to get a hit. It really does. There's a bass on. I'm sure I saw a bigger fish behind that. I really think I did. Probably saw. Yeah. This is just a little schoolie, but I'm not sure. But I thought I saw something bigger behind it. Oh, there's a big set coming through. Still some big sets. Okay, nice little schoolie there. As I was saying, it did look like a bigger bass behind it. I can't be 100% sure. But yeah, so anyway, it's a good sign. I've got a little bit of time left. There's some big swells out there. I don't want to stay here too long without looking. So yeah, I'm going to give it a go. I think I'll swap these lures around and yeah, see what does the best. So yeah, so all in all, it was a really nice summer. Had a great time down there, and it was nice to be able to get out, have a bit of bass fishing and get into a few fish, even if they weren't, you know, as big as some of the monsters, you know, you can catch out there. It was nice to get out there in the 10 days I had, and yeah, at least get into a few fish, try out a few of the lures. And yeah, certainly hoping to get over there again over the winter time. So thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.